It's a big deal.
Big deal.
All right. Welcome inside episode 74 of Breaking Bats, presented by Not For Long Media. My name is Justin Ayers, and I promised myself I wouldn't cry, but I'm about to because after 6 months, the man himself has returned to the podcast, blessing your airwaves and into your ears. It is Brian O'Grady back from Korea. Brian, this is a big day. It's not a sad day. It's a happy day. No sad day, bad day. I'm so glad to see you. You look incredible. How are you? And yeah, it's also a big day for the pod because now we have the big three.
Yep. Big three is here. Yep. Kait, nice to meet you.
Thanks, you too, Brian.
Thanks for having me back on, guys. Yeah, it's been a long time. Has it really been 6 months? Is that accurate, or were you just throwing that out there?
No. Wow. It was around New Year's of last year, I think.
That's nuts. Yeah. Lots definitely happened. We'll talk about all that, but it's good to be back. It's good to talk to you guys. I haven't done this in forever. It's weird to be back on and like talking podcast style, but yeah, this is funny. I can't believe this. This is like, how long did we go, Jay? We were like a year in, something like that.
We went from February to December every single week. And then,
that's a lot.
Yeah, right around the turn of the new year, you went off to get ready for Korea, and you did check in from Korean spring training, I believe, via video. But there was, I think people are just like, first of all, people are excited to hear you, see you, all that stuff. But like, I feel like we have some questions to ask you about your time over there and what you've been up to. Because like I said, it's been a little bit. People love you. Every time I posted a clip about you, even like from old podcasts, it would just pop off. So. The people love Brian O'Grady, and I can't say I disagree.
Yeah, I don't know why they do, but that's pretty funny. God, I guess we can I'll just throw it all out there, I guess. So yeah, spring training, we started in Arizona, and that was all good. And then we left, we went to Okinawa, Japan, which was pretty cool because, obviously I was in Japan last year, and the Okinawa trip, there's no team in Okinawa, but they go down there and play, and that was when my daughter was born, so I missed that trip, and I was actually looking forward to that. So it was cool to like see it and everything, but man, the weather was brutal. Like, it wasn't nice. If you look at Okinawa on like your Apple Maps, you're gonna be like, holy shit, it's just like in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. There's just like not a whole lot going on. And but same with Arizona, and MLB spring was like that too. It was like just cold, and it was just not ideal. So that wasn't too fun because of that. And then we went back to Korea, and preseason, just long time. Like, I left home January 30th because it was my wife's birthday when we left for Arizona. So like we've been going since January 30th, which is super early, obviously. And spring training over there was like, it was okay. I hit really well, hit some homers. I didn't have a lot of hits to show for it, just like hard outs, whatever. But I definitely started to like miss my wife and daughter again, like big time. Because the whole off season, I got used to being around and like being a dad and doing all that stuff, and it's the best, and I love it. So it started to get hard then mentally for me, and just kind of just kept going, really. And on top of that, like, my swing was not, I don't know really when that happened. It just kind of got into a little bit of a bad spot, and the combo was just not good. It was just really bad. And it was the classic, the balls I did hit hard, it was like dive and catch, like whatever. I'm just like frustrated, hating everything. It's hard to not feel like alone no matter what over there, because you're just in a totally different culture and can't talk to everybody. Like, and I did it in Japan the year before. Like, I think for me, that just got to be like a lot because I did it for not 2 straight years, but however long that, a year and a half or whatever, of just like being away from my wife and daughter and that really hurting and like being weird for me. And then the like loneliness of being in a different country, not speaking the language, even though the people are like super nice and like, it's not like it's not like they were like ignoring me or something, but just like, I don't know. It's hard to explain like unless you do it, I guess. And that whole combo was just mentally really, really bad for me. And I wasn't in a good spot and I wasn't enjoying it at all. And obviously it was showing on the field. And then, they said to me, I had American coaches to start, which was nice for obvious reasons because I could talk to them a little bit, but they were like, what do you think about going down for just 10 days to like the minor league and just kind of like relax and not think about anything? And I'm, in my head, I'm like, that's just, that's not good. That's not going to help. But I end up doing it, whatever. It didn't help. I was more miserable because the minor league's like in the middle of nowhere. It's just, I was in a dorm. It's just not good. It's just not good. So I get back after the 10 days and after the first game, we won. They fired all the coaches. And it was like strange too, because the team had actually gone on like I think that was like the 6th straight game that we won, like me not being there for those first 5 or whatever. And so everybody was kind of like, what? Like it was just a strange situation. And I think what happened really is the week before they had lost like 5 straight games. So I think like the decision might have came then and they were kind of figuring out how to do everything. Because this was the 3rd year for that staff there. So I think they were trying to figure that out. And I guess they had it all lined up. And that was like when they decided to pull the trigger. But it was just strange. And a lot of the guys were didn't really understand too. And I didn't even really think about it because, the team was so bad. There are a lot of young guys who are pretty good players, like playing. And those are the only coaches that they've ever known. And like to those kids, the KBO is like the MLB, like that's over there. That's it. So they were really like upset and sad and like hurt when the coaches got fired. So that happened, and then that made it really weird. And a couple more games, I was like more miserable, not playing, and still not playing good. And they called me in and said they wanted to send me down again, and I was like, no. Basically, I was like, I'm probably gonna go home. And they were pretty like taken back by that. And they didn't really understand like the coach and like bench coach. And long story short, whatever, I ended up saying, all right, I'll give it one last chance. Like, I'm not just gonna quit. And I went, and it was not good. And actually the first day I like tweaked my oblique. So they like shut me down for a couple days. And long story short, that's when they sent me home. And I went straight. They were like, the trainer there had me not swinging for like 2 more weeks. I thought I was 2 days away from at least swinging, hitting again and then playing like another day or 2 after that. So I think that probably caused some of that speed up too, because they only have one foreign position player over there. So it's pretty important. And so they released me. And then the next day I was on a plane and I flew straight to Seattle, uh, and stayed at Driveline for like 5 days and started hitting. So I got there, I think on like Thursday afternoon. I was exhausted, like, the time change and everything was all messed up. So Friday, I just kind of worked out, moved around, didn't hit. And then Saturday I started hitting and been doing everything totally normal since then. And I've had no issues at all. So, yeah, like full blown, hitting off the machine, like everything. I'm fine. And so, yeah, that's it. I came back after that. I've been at home since, just hanging out, being a dad, being a husband, and basically in like off season mode. I wake up, I work out, I do my hitting, my running, like all that stuff. And so that's where we're at right now. I know that's a lot of rambling. But that's basically the gist of how everything's gone so far. And you can ask whatever you want off of that.
Okay. Kate, I'm gonna let you go first. Any questions top of the head?
What do you think were the biggest differences playing there versus here? I know you said the mental aspect was obviously a little bit tougher, but anything else that really stood out to you?
Honestly, and this is going to sound like not great because one, if you look at my stats, you're like, what, you can't even say anything. But the level of competition was not where I was expecting it for sure. Like Japan was definitely a step up, like a lot better. Pitching and defense was not the same in Korea. They got some guys who can hit, and there's some guys who are pretty good, but like overall was definitely not the same. But I just, I can't say why exactly it didn't work, like what went wrong for me or like the biggest differences. But in terms of just straight play style from MLB to KBO was definitely pitching and defense is not at the same level.
What about the differences between the MPB and the KBO?
I'd say the same. The Japanese pitching is definitely better, as well as the defense. I would say, though, the KBO guys got a little more pop, I feel like, from top to bottom than the Japanese guys. The best Japanese guys, like as you see with Yoshida, I mean, they can hit here. But the pop and power go down pretty quick overall in Japan.
Any notable guys that people here might recognize that you ran into, or maybe some guys on your team? I think there's a fair amount of major league guys I see that go over there and even come back. Shout out Mike Talkman.
Yeah, in the KBO, Jose Perella played over here for, I believe he was a Yankee, if Kate remembers that. But he definitely was a Padre. He's over there. He does pretty well over there. Anthony Alford was there last year, and he's back there again this year. He bounced around a little bit here. I'm trying to. Addison Russell's over there right now, former Cub. Yeah. I think those are the guys people would probably like recognize. Pitchers. There's definitely pitchers. I'm trying to think of who they are. I can't think off the top of my head right now, but there are definitely a couple pitchers that people would know. But
I know who. Former guest of this podcast, Sean Anderson.
Sean Anderson, yep, he's over there. He's with Kia. I'm like totally blanking on the pitchers right now. But there's definitely some names you would recognize. I mean, the foreign pitchers obviously are pretty good pitchers. And then there's a handful who are good. Like the guy we got opening day, I forget his name. He was he was throwing 96, 99 the whole game. Like he might have a chance to actually play here. And then two guys on my team, two young guys, they were back to back. The first overall pick last year and the first overall pick the year before, both righty pitchers are like 18 years old throwing 97, 100. So those guys a couple years, I think they'll be over here. I told Moon is the starting pitcher. I told him I'd see him whenever he makes his debut over here. I'll fly to the game and see him. He's my buddy. So definitely some good guys. I mean, I do miss like my teammates and stuff. Like they were great. It had nothing to do with them. I love those guys. So I'll be rooting for them. Like I really do. Those two guys I think will come play over here, come pitch over here, I should say.
Were the living conditions similar to like the minor leagues, or is it completely different over there?
So no, it's nicer than that. Like my apartment and everything was great. The travel really was like not bad at all, especially compared to Japan. It was just we were like my team was like in the middle of the country. So really our farthest we'd take a bus and it was like probably the worst one was probably like 3.5 hours. The one time when we went to Seoul is only like an hour and a half, but the traffic in Seoul is like we got to Seoul and it took us 2 hours to get to where we were going in Seoul the one day. I couldn't believe how long we were sitting on the bus. It was nuts. So
Wow.
the travel like that really wasn't bad. And all the hotels are nice and everything like that. So really that part was easy. I don't mind bus rides. Flying all over the place or like flying in Japan or was worse than Korea for sure.
Ryan, I'm thinking back to a video that we made the last time you were on talking about how that was the 5th country you've played professional baseball in, I think. Could you ever believe that a kid from outside Philadelphia would have a game be the thing that takes you all around the world? Like how are you going to look back at your international time playing baseball? The stories, the times, like that's got to be an incredible thing to pass on to your kids and your grandkids.
Yeah, I mean, one day I'm sure I'll look back on it and think about how cool it was and how much fun it was. Japan, I definitely enjoyed Japan, and I'll always look back on that with fond memories, and that was fun. Korea was a little personally rougher, so I don't know. We'll see how that turns out. But I don't ever want to make it sound like it was Korea's fault or anything like that. It was like more personal and what was going on in my life, I think, just kind of the whole circumstance of that, as opposed to like the country was great. The people were all nice. Like my translator is like one of the genuinely nicest human beings I've ever met in my life. And without him, I don't know what I would have done, but yeah, it just wasn't the right timing and stuff. And one day I'm sure I'll look back and think it was cool to see everything and do all that kind of stuff. But I definitely have missed playing in the United States too.
Also true. What's next? What you said you were in Driveline. You're looking good. You're feeling good. You're swinging the bat again. Like what do you want to have happen next as you're back in Florida and you're getting ready for whatever is next?
Yeah, so we're basically just waiting on teams. Trying to play back here. The worst case scenario is I'll probably go play independent ball somewhere to get back on the field and hopefully just get signed out of there. Show I can hit again still. Basically, I mean, being totally honest, if people are just look at my stats from over there, they're gonna be like, honestly, they're so bad that people probably have to be like, okay, there's no way he's actually that bad. He has like something else was going on. So, but if they just take a look and don't dig at all, then it won't look good. So probably if I need to go back and just show I can hit for a couple of weeks and hopefully sign somewhere in AAA and keep going. Yeah, I definitely, as nice as it has been being back home right now and just like doing whatever I want. I'm not ready to. I still want to play. I definitely still want to play. I still feel like I could definitely play at the highest level and help some teams if given the chance. But yeah, I'm still going. And even if for whatever reason, if this year's not working out, we'll probably still in the off season still be going and work on a job for next year and keep going from there. I think this year, yeah, best case scenario. I mean, anything can happen, but best case scenario is probably, just get back to AAA and hit like I do, and hopefully get an invite to big league spring training somewhere next year. I think is probably my biggest goal.
That's exciting. Rooting for you.
I feel like too, like independent baseball is not like I just saw Daniel Murphy got signed from the Long Island Ducks. Like our guy Matt Adams was playing for like the Kansas City Monarchs, I think. I feel like if that is the route that you take, that's still like, it's not the end of the world. But yeah, I mean, definitely like, so you're, out. How's the defense doing? You still running around the outfield? You playing all four corners? Defensive career is actually great, which was nice because like my coach even said it to me. He's like, "You're a really good outfielder." I was like, "Yeah, thank you." But like, I think we talked about this, JA, in Japan, how I was hurt for like 90% of the season and couldn't run, and no one knew. And I said that to him, and he's like, that must have been where like the report was from, because whatever the first game of the season, he took me out late in the game, like defensive replacement. And I was like, and I played great defense the whole time there. But I guess that was like the scouting report from when I was in Japan. And then he did it for the first like week. And then after that, he like stopped. And I threw a runner out at the plate. And that's when he said that to me. And he was like, yeah, I was like, that was the report, but I keep watching you play. And I'm like, there's no way I'm taking this guy out for defense anymore. So yeah, defense was much better, which I was very happy about, because it was very annoying in Japan to like be used to running around and like doing stuff and then not being able to do it as well for an entire season. Right, yeah, because it wasn't your quad or something you were telling me about. It was just like, it was impacting the mobility, and this year it was healthier, right? Everything was good.
Everything's good, yeah. That was brutal though. Yeah, literally the fourth game of the season, like stretching. I don't even know how it happened. We were actually warming up, and I was like, "Ow!" And yep, whole year it was like that, because as soon as it was like kind of, they just wanted me to hit, so they didn't really care that much. And our DHs were Nakamura-san and Kuriyama-san, who were both like 40 years old, been doing it forever. And so they were DHing. So like I couldn't just DH. Yeah. And yeah, every time it was like getting better, I would go and like push it just a little bit for a ball, and it was right back to sucking.
Jesus. Damn. Well,
it's all good. We made it.
You did. Happy for you, dude. You're back home. Hey, we're all getting into this. Might be a running podcast now, because Kate does the run a mile for every run the Yankees score the night before if they win the game. I'm recently becoming an avid runner. What if we just start like a run club, a Breaking Bats run club? We'll get Brian out there on the beach down there in Florida.
I think it's a good idea.
Yeah.
I don't think I can keep up with the two of you in long distance. I know for a fact I can't keep up with Kate running all those miles. Jay, I don't know how far you're running, but I don't know if I can make it. I don't even know if I can make it 1 mile. I can do some sprints, that's for sure. But a mile and I'll be like laying down on the concrete.
One singular mile.
Yeah, I'm not kidding. One singular mile. I don't know. I don't think I've ran a mile in like 15 years, honestly.
It's not that far.
It's far. That is very.
It's not part of your training in the off season. Look cardio conditioning. It's not.
Yeah, don't you need that?
Pitchers are the ones who run far in baseball, but it's my theory is sprinters are like large jacked people, and that's what I want to be.
Okay.
Marathon runners are usually a little bit slimmer because they got to run so far. My body type's just not really built for it at this point.
That's what it is. That's what we're using as the excuse. He's just not built for it.
Just not built for it. And I'm mentally weak, I guess.
Aw. It's a good point. Yeah, you don't see too many jacked marathon runners. That's
No.
valid
There are
point.
some. There's definitely some. Don't get me wrong, but those are like the David Goggins and like Nick Bear, these dudes who are like just nuts out there running these crazy ultra marathons and stuff, and they're still like shredded somehow.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Superhumans.
Yeah,
Oh my
superhuman.
gosh. We interrupt this episode to bring you a word from the official sponsor of Not For Long Media and the Breaking Bats podcast, the original Fudge Kitchen. It is a staple of the Jersey Shore with 6 locations in Cape May, Wildwood, North Wildwood, Stone Harbor, and Ocean City. The original Fudge Kitchen makes all of their fudge in store, guaranteeing a delicious product, so stop by and let them know that Not For Long Media and Breaking Bats sent you. Check them out online at fudgekitchens.com as they are shipping fudge and sweet treats all across the country. Now back to the episode. Exactly. Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you so much for sharing all that stuff, Brian. We have some MLB topics to go into with you. There's a lot happening. So I'm going to let Kait take the lead on this one because there's 3 super teams that are sucking right now. And,
Yes.
we gotta talk about it.
If you would have told me last year that this is what MLB would look like, just all throughout standings, rankings, everything is all mixed matched. But this past weekend, the Houston Astros, the LA Dodgers, and the Yankees were all swept. Astros and Dodgers came biggest rivals. The Yankees and Dodgers biggest rivals. In the Dodgers-Giants game, Dodgers gave up the most amount of runs to the Giants in a 3-game series ever. So that was just historically bad. Yankees lose the first game to the Boston Red Sox 15-5. We had IKF pitching. Shout out Colin Thurrow. Interviewed him, the bullpen catcher, last week. We're like, oh, the IKF's going to pitch again. That's just great. And the Houston Astros can't make a play in the infield. The bullpen's imploding. All the pitchers on the IL. I was saying out of these 3 teams, I think the Astros are the most concerning just because of all the injuries. Defending World Series champions, they were the top team that people thought were going to be the champions this year, 2023. Worst record since 2016 through their first 72 games of the season, 7-10 in the month of June. They're my pick with the one that I'm concerned with the most. But Justin, who you got for this?
Okay. I am going to say the LA Dodgers are the most concerning because I saw, there was a 15-0 blowout on Saturday against the Giants. That was the most lopsided loss at home since 1898. That's awesome. I looked up, I kept hearing rumblings about this bad bullpen. I was like, no, not LA, not the Dodgers. They have the second worst bullpen ERA in baseball and the highest opponents average against for bullpen in baseball. And the lineup is, look, no offense to these guys, but it's not exactly like a thunderous group because on that 15-0 blowout loss, I was like, who the hell they got playing? They have Johnny DeLuca in center, Vargas at second, Miguel Rojas at short, and Michael Busch at third. No offense to those guys, but not a traditional Dodgers lineup. So they can't hit. The pitching's really bad. And they're down like every starter they have. So unless they trade for everybody, I think the Dodgers are pretty concerning in the West. Brian.
Yeah, I agree with Kait. I think the Astros are the biggest concern. Jose Abreu, that signing hasn't really panned out how they were hoping. Alvarez is hurt and down for a good amount of time. I just think more than anything too, like the Rangers are for real. And I just don't see the Astros keeping up with that. And the Angels are playing solid. So I think like they're just kind of shit out of luck this year. I think it's the Rangers division and possibly the Rangers league, even though Tampa will have something to say about that. But yeah, I think the Astros, they've just been so good for so long. It just feels like it's kind of that time where it's coming down. And the Dodgers just like always figure it out. I don't know. So I can't really bet it, say anything bad against them.
Have you seen the NL West this year? It is completely just turned upside down. It's the Diamondbacks are at first, the Giants are in second, LA, San Diego, then Colorado. But I didn't see that coming as we get closer to the All-Star break. Those are 2 teams at the top that I think were almost at the bottom last year.
Yes.
Yeah, good for the Diamondbacks. I mean, what a good start to the season for them. Corbin Carroll's the real deal. So that's pretty cool to see. And Man, the Padres obviously disappointing to start. Obviously near and dear for me, but I think they'll turn it around. I really do. I know it's been they can't string it together. It seems like, they have that good game and it's like, oh, here we go. Maybe they're going to do it. And then it kind of just fizzles out again. And I know the fans get upset about that, but they're just so talented. It just like has to work, I feel like.
Yeah. That's what Justin and I were saying on the pod. We said we weren't hitting the panic button on the Padres. There's too many good people in that lineup to not eventually get it done. Like it's going to happen. I think they just are going through a rough patch like the Yankees.
Have you kept up with the Padres? Have you talked to our guys Ben and Woods at all?
Yeah, I was on I went on there in the morning. I was in Seattle when I did it, so a couple weeks ago. Always good to, Woodsy was texting me. I'll get a text from him every so often, no matter what. So it's always good to talk to them. But yeah, we had fun. I missed them. Next time I'm ever out that way, definitely meet up with them. And they're the best, they're the best. But I'm sure I got to listen to their show because I'm sure that they are having some interesting discussions going on out there. People are, how fired up the Padres fan base gets these days.
You say one nice thing about Eric Hosmer, they're coming through a threat. I'm still catching residual shots from that.
It's still going. That video is still going.
You say Eric Hosmer is a decent guy, and already, and they, you're lumped in a category with dictators, and it's bad. So,
man,
I'm sticking to it. I don't care. I think he's a nice guy. I think he's a good hitter still. Sorry.
No Hos.
I'll die on this hill.
I will die on this hill. Love Eric Hosmer. He's looking for the right opportunity right now. It'll come. All right. I wanted to talk about the team that drafted you, Brian, because the Cincinnati Reds have dubbed themselves America's team. They've won 9 in a row. They swept the Royals, the Astros, 2 out of 3 from the Cards, 1 against the Rockies. Votto's back. He still bangs. This is a fun group of guys. Do you think calling them America's team was a little bit premature?
Yeah, I don't know. Can you really self-proclaim that you're America's team? I don't know if you can or not. We're America's team, forcing America to pick you. I think, the Mariners were America's team, but I feel like that was because our buddy Caravas just tweeted it so many times that people were like, oh, I guess they're America's team. But it wasn't the Mariners actually doing it. So, yeah. But yeah, they're fun. Ellie De La Cruz, obviously a freak, but up and down that lineup, Spencer Steer's having a great year. Jonathan India's having obviously was rookie of the year and had a little bit of a rougher year after that, but now is having a great year too. My buddy TJ Friedel, man, he's playing. I know he was hurt a little bit, but he's having a great year. They're just, I don't know. They play well, and now Votto gets back, and what a first game back. The homer, game-winning RBI, I think, right? And and they're serious too because they DFA'd Will Myers today, who they owed especially for them a nice chunk of money to for the season, and they said, forget it, we're not messing with this and keeping these guys who've been producing. So good for them. Good for the Cincinnati. I'm happy for those fans. They're definitely a fun, exciting team.
TJ Friedel, team leader in WAR, by the way. Kate, what's your take?
Yeah, when they swept the Astros, I said that's going to get them a lot of momentum. 8-game winning streak, 6 runs a game. They're absolutely killing it. Matt McLean is doing his thing. We mentioned Jonathan India. Ellie De La Cruz. I also just think that this team has a lot of incentive and a lot of fire. And I think it's tough, when you're in those rebuilding years, to, stick through it. But then when everything starts to click, it's awesome. And Ellie De La Cruz, sliding head first into first base was just absolutely insane. And I feel like it's little things like that get the team really fired up. And do I think it's a little premature to call themselves America's team? Yes. But I do believe that they can absolutely clinch a playoff berth and ultimately make a run. do they have holes? Yes, but so does everyone in that division. So I'm not super concerned with them. I just think they're a lot of fun to watch right now.
I would pay to watch an Ellie De La Cruz and O'Neal Cruz. Just I don't know what I like. Just hitting, running, hanging out. I don't know. Those guys together must be electric. Brian, I had a question because you mentioned that they didn't want to mess with the clubhouse chemistry. They have a good thing going. I saw a quote. Jake Fraley said, I think it's the magic you see. It's just the culture is created. It's not a special thing that comes out of nowhere. What you're seeing has been specifically worked on. It's been cultivated since spring training and honestly since the end of last year. That sounds like a group of guys that really enjoy playing together. Have you been a part of anything like that where the team just kind of like rallies around each other so much where it's like almost like reminiscent of those Royals teams that like were 2014, 2015? Like, I don't know. I feel like clubhouse chemistry doesn't get talked about enough.
Yeah, it's definitely important. I mean, I guess the closest thing for me would be with the Rays in 2020. It's just like when everybody can be themselves and guys have each other's backs and you're just all pulling for the same thing. I think it definitely can be something special. And it just seems like that team, the Reds, like I feel like they're all kind of like close in age. You know, it just seems like none of them are, you know, the prospects coming up now, but like none of them are, you know, huge names or other than Votto too. But I feel like it's just like a good mix of guys who just go out there and feel like they got something to prove and play the game hard. And yeah, you get some magic from that for sure. And they got some good arms. I know they're young, but they do have some good arms to go with that too. And Diaz shutting down is pretty nasty too.
It's a great team. Yeah, it's like Andrew Abbott, 17 innings, no runs. Hunter Green still throwing gas. Like they have dudes. I was wondering though because like, yeah, I like the clubhouse chemistry. I also think that like having Joey Votto as like the clubhouse like leader, the veteran now. It's like, and also, did you hear too like the Jonathan India scuttlebutt about like them potentially trading him like getting asked about that? Like, I don't know. Every time I hear something about Jonathan India, it's like heart and soul of the team, and that feels like somebody you probably wouldn't want to trade.
Yeah, I saw that because I saw it from Trent Rosecrans. That whole exchange with Kirk Herbstreit, which was pretty nuts. And that was pretty crazy. Yeah, I don't know. I would have been shocked if they traded India. It's just like I feel like having a lot of good players is a good problem to have. So like if you're rotating or if one guy takes a day off, I mean, look at the Rays. How many of those guys don't start some of those games? Like Josh Lowe is the last time I looked, is hitting like 300 with a good amount of homers, and like he consistently isn't starting against lefties or whatever. So it's like I feel like you just find ways to get guys into the game and make it work. So I don't see them moving India anywhere now. That's for sure.
Yeah, you're right. That was the thing because it's like, well, you have all these prospects and you have too many guys and not enough spots, and it's like, well, somebody's got to go. I don't know. That was a wild day on Twitter.
Yeah, that was because it was funny too, because obviously Trent's my friend, but Herbstreit, as you know, as we've talked about, I'm a college football junkie. So Herbstreit's my guy from College Game Day. And it was just like, how are these two, like, what is this argument, right? It was just so strange to see. I'm like, what? Log on the old tweeter and see that. Like, this is not what I was expecting today. Sorry, Kate. We talk about college football a lot too sometimes.
That's okay. Totally fine.
Getting gassed up for the fall now. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's coming, but that's neither here nor there.
An hour just on college football. Kate, anything else?
Nope, that's it for me.
Okay. Yeah, it's a fun grouping in Cincinnati. I wanted to talk though because it wouldn't be a podcast with Kate if we didn't talk just a little bit about the Yankees.
Just a little.
No, just a little.
We could just a tiny bit.
There's a lot that's going on right now. I
Yes.
read a New York Post article. Hal Steinbrenner is calling out the veterans of the group. And I was like, I feel like I've never heard anything from Hal Steinbrenner. Does he talk? He doesn't. He doesn't really talk that often. But when he does, he says we have to start hitting. Yeah. It's a weird time for the Yankees. I was just wondering, like, as a Yankees fan, where are you kind of assessing blame right now? Is it the veterans? Is it Cashman? Is it Aaron Boone? Is it John Boy?
I'm very John Boy.
It's John Boy.
I'm very passionate about this subject, and I'm going to take two sides to this. I understand that Aaron Judge is, on the IL, and that's the top story, and the media has to ask that every single day. Totally understand it. That's the narrative. I did agree with Boone when he went up to the media on Saturday and said, there's plenty of other guys in the lineup that can get this done. And I'm basically sick and tired of this story that we can't win without Aaron Judge. It's one player. It's one player. He's a great player. Nothing against him, but it is one singular player. And it's interesting. I will say this though, on the flip side, I think his presence in the lineup does kind of get everyone a little bit more fired up. But if I'm placing blame on someone, I'm placing blame on the veterans that can be getting it done. Rizzo, Stanton, DJ, Glaber, they got to get Donaldson. They got to get it done because you have a lot of guys that are able to step up and actually use this as an opportunity to be, the unsung hero. Stanton's got to be better. Rizzo's having one of the worst stretches in his entire career ever. So I don't really want to blame management because obviously you can't predict that. And there are a lot of injuries. I feel like the veterans at this point really need to step up. And I did like that Hal went out there and said, you know what? I'm just going to throw them under the bus. They all need to step up.
Brian, what's wrong with the Yankees?
Listen, I mean, Kate did a great job right there. I don't have too much to add. They obviously Judge being hurt is the big thing, but I said this when they signed Carlos Rodon, was like, I thought they needed more hitting. I didn't think that, the pitching was pretty good. It was like, we need somebody else to hit. And Judge is hurt and you see like things aren't going the right way. So, and it's what a tough division. I mean, the Rays just keep winning and the Orioles, like that's, I don't know. They need Judge back, and they need to make some sort of move. I think Volpe, he hasn't been great, but I don't think I know his numbers aren't the best, but I don't think he's been like terrible either. Honestly, I thought he's been doing a pretty good job for being thrown in the shortstop for the New York Yankees at like 21 years old or whatever he is. So, yeah, they need to figure it out without Aaron Judge, which easier said than done, but. Maybe if Aaron Hicks was still there and crushing the ball for him now, they'd be doing better.
It's true. This is true.
I was waiting to see what your Volpe opinion would be because this is a staunchly Anthony Volpe pro podcast. We both love him. So
I think he's good. I think he's gonna be a good player. I like his swing. I think that's just a tough spot. Like if he thought he was gonna roll out there and hit like 300, I mean. It's just, I don't know, especially because he's playing shortstop. Like, that's a lot of pressure defensively, too. So it's like constant, both of them. Like, he's probably worried about his hitting, and then he's out there playing defense. Like, it's just a lot. I think under the circumstances, I think he's playing pretty well, honestly.
Yeah. The listeners are going to think we told Brian to say that when he came on the podcast.
Yeah, you're not under duress. You actually do think that, right? Yeah.
You guys didn't say anything about Volpe until I brought him up. Yeah.
I don't know why I just became an Anthony Volpe guy. I don't even like the Yankees. It's okay. I might just become an Aaron Boone guy too. I might just zig when everybody else zags. No, hear me out. I mean, like, I feel like his in-game managerial decisions aren't that bad. I don't understand where all this hatred came from. I don't know. I want to take it to Talking Yanks' interview with him every single week, which has just become confrontational. It's become like standoffish, which is weird because like you would think if you had access to the manager of the New York Yankees every week, you wouldn't necessarily like. I think their first question this week is why don't you care more, or like why don't you show more emotion when you lose? And I'm like, all right, Kate. It sounds like you're not of that opinion.
I think they're doing their job and they're trying to ask what the fans want to know. And what happened was just because I've been, following Talking Yanks since their very, very early days. And in the beginning, they were literally just basically bullshitting with Aaron Boone, like just like shooting the shit, like very nonchalant questions. And the fans were going, I don't understand. You have Aaron Boone on the podcast. Ask him an actual question. So now they're trying to get a little bit more pressure on him and kind of hold him accountable more. And there was this whole article that came out, like if they're going to take Boone away from a radio spot because he's only allowed to do so many per year, they have to ask him, you know, a little bit of the hard questions. I have to say though, it was funny. I commented on their TikTok today and they commented back, they're like, maybe we'll bring you in as a mediator. I said, oh, I'd be happy to mediate. Justin knows I'm the PR for the New York Yankees. But the one that kind of felt interesting today was their whole back and forth with the runner on third base, 2-1 ball game. And they asked Boone, you know, top of the 8th inning, there's a runner on third base, grounders hit to the second baseman. Why is your infield back? Like, why aren't you going to try and get the run out at the plate? And Boone was like, what? We have 2 more opportunities to hit. Of course my infield would be back. And Jake held his own and said, I disagree with you. Your offense is doing horrible. So it was interesting. Justin, or Brian, what do you think about that from like a manager standpoint?
I want Brian's opinion. So
yeah, I do want Brian's opinion.
I need it.
Yeah, I actually agree with Boone in that scenario. I think like the standard baseball manager handbook would say you leave the defense back there,
right?
Because you are up a run and you do have 2 more chances. I don't know. I don't know exactly the situation. I do think who's on the mound and who's hitting can also change that. If you really think, you know, somebody who's a lighter hitter and a really good pitcher or ground ball guy could make a difference there. But yeah, I think what Boone was saying is like hindsight's 2020. Like obviously it was a weak ground ball, I think, at Gleiber and the tying run score. So yeah, if they're in, then it doesn't happen and they end up losing the game. So of course, yeah, if you had them in for that exact scenario, yes, you win the game. But at the time, you know, you don't know that. So I give Jake props for like holding his own and asking that kind of question and not just bullshitting and saying whatever. But I do think from just a straight baseball perspective that Boone probably did the by the book kind of managerial decision right there.
Could have said it better myself. Yeah, I was just like, you're throwing the white. You're signaling that your bullpen. You don't trust your bullpen to get the outs. You're signaling that you don't trust your hitters to score runs. It's like in the 8th inning, let's play not to lose in the 8th, not the 9th. So yeah, that didn't really make sense. I'm so fascinated by this now, and also just, you know, I did see another video where Jake said he would have benched Josh Donaldson after getting picked off at first base because he said the Yankees aren't pushovers and they want to take the game seriously. So look, I'm no stranger. If you come on this podcast, I will have a slanted opinion towards that player. So, but that was an odd take. I just want to put that out in the ether. I didn't like that take.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting. I did agree with Boone on that. Like, cause then what are you telling your players? Oh, if you're not going to be able to steal, then you shouldn't take an aggressive lead. And I feel like Volpe can get picked off. Like Harrison Bader can get picked off. They're very fast. So I don't know.
Kate, what are New York Yankee fans like big complaint about Aaron Boone?
He doesn't hold the players accountable. So basically, like, he won't bench someone if they do something wrong. And when, like, a prime example is this weekend after the Red Sox series, he said, yeah, I don't think we played that bad. So they're saying, like, instead of coming out to the media and saying, you know, this team needs to get their heads out of their asses and figure it out, I think that's kind of their issue with that. No accountability, quote unquote.
Gotcha. That's interesting. Yeah, I feel like the players probably really like Boone, is my guess.
Oh, yeah.
Like all those guys probably love him. I feel like he's really got their back and won't kind of throw them under the bus at all for that. No. And yeah, it's interesting because it's like a Yankees thing too. Like I feel like he just gives them more of a benefit of doubt. Like as the Yankees are like that's what he's going to say in public. Privately, he might tell them like, hey, you're being a fucking idiot or whatever. But like when the when he's talking to the media, he's not going to do that to them. Plus, they do have a lot of, vets. It's like, it's hard to do that to those type of guys.
Yeah.
Josh Donaldson's got like 15 years in the show. What are you gonna sit him down and what are you talking about?
Reprimand him?
Yeah.
You cannot get
Josh
picked off
Donaldson
first base.
Well, that's that's the Boone. I mean, Boone obviously played and was a good player. So like, he does have that kind of to back himself up. Like, some managers are great managers, but don't have that same resume as a player. So it could be harder for them to, or at least they think it's harder for them to do that. But yeah, I think that's what it's got to be. Like, he just won't do it in public, but he'll have those conversations behind closed doors with them or whatever.
I feel like the Mets fans too also had this gripe about Buck Showalter not that long ago, where he might have came out and said they're not playing that bad, or maybe something about Dan Vogelbach or something. I don't know. He had a quote that Mets fans were just annihilating him for on Twitter, and I'm like, New York sports fans are like, guys, like, you can't get too high and you can't get too low. I don't know why they expect the manager to be out there like popping neck veins and screaming and spitting all over the place every time something bad happens. Doesn't really seem like that would be good every single time something bad happens.
Well, I will say, George would come out to the media and be like, yeah, they suck. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
I can't fix them. So I feel like that, Hal and Cash don't really come out and do that at all. So I think that's what they're used to, of him literally just being so blunt, like, oh yeah, he was out partying last night. That's why he sucked today. He was very direct, but I do agree. It is the high, low lows.
Brian, what are your favorite traits of managers that you've had? Do you like the ones that are kind of even keeled? Do you like the ones that are vocal? What's that dynamic?
That is a great question. I think number one is having the players back is definitely, like, as a team, like, showing that is definitely important. And I think most managers do that, really. But then, like, communicate, like, for me, communication was always big because, I'm not Aaron Judge or Josh Donaldson. Like, my role was different. So them just kind of laying it out for me and, like, being just honest more than anything was always huge. Like, Kevin Cash from the Rays was definitely great at that. And they all were, but still, like, that's huge. I think as an athlete, the, like, biggest thing you can ask for is just honesty more than anything. Like, because if you tell me I'm not playing because I stink at this, well, okay, that might suck to hear, but now I can go try to be better at whatever that thing is, like that type of deal. But I do think, like, even keel is definitely good too. Yeah, you don't want to get too high. You don't want to get too low. I do think there's a time and a place for a manager to, like, blow up, whether that's behind closed doors or whether that's I would say preferably behind closed doors. But also, I don't think it's the worst thing ever if he says something in the media. There's definitely a line there too, like, of you can't say certain things, but I do think it's okay to be like, yeah, we suck right now. We got to figure it out. I got to be better. We got to be better, like that type of thing.
Right.
For sure. I mean, I've had great managers in the minor leagues. I don't think I've had it in the big leagues. I can't remember, but definitely in the minor leagues where, like, we get done a game and come in and all sitting there, and next thing you know, the table's getting flipped and going flying. And it's like, what the fuck are we doing? Yeah, like that. I definitely think there's time and place for that too. So the good ones have that kind of combination and have that kind of feel for what the team needs in different moments. Or what each player needs too. Like, if that's a hug and some encouragement, or if that's light a fire under your ass and get going type of deal.
Wow. Yeah. And you've had some great managers over the years too. So it's fascinating to hear, like, the dynamic of how all they, interact like that. I did want to talk a little bit about the Pirates because they just called up Henry Davis, 2021 number 1 overall pick. It's interesting. He's a catcher, but I don't know if you saw this. They're only having him play right field. No word on when he's going to catch again. And I saw a tweet. It's going to make it sound bad, but the Pirates have the second worst catcher WAR in the entire MLB, and they're not going to let Henry catch. This guy can hit. Like, I feel like they brought him up only for the bat, but I'm just wondering, like, I don't know how often I've seen a guy being told he can't play his normal position. They're like, dude, we only want you to hit. Like, have you seen that, Brian? Like, have you seen prospects get up so quickly that they're like, don't even bring the glove to the field like that? Like, that's wild.
They might have did that to Yordan Alvarez, honestly, but no, I really can't think of. They must really think, those catchers defensively are better, like know the staff better, like something like that. That's the only thing I could think of. Or that he would need more time to kind of learn those things. It is crazy. It really is. But I mean, I'm sure he's fine with it. He's like, yeah, I'll play right field, whatever. I'll come to the show and play right field. I don't care. Good for that kid. I know he had a hit in his debut. But it's I guess it's like a Wilson Contreras kind of style thing, like where they maybe want him to like learn some more up there before they just throw him in there, or I don't know, but it's definitely interesting.
Yeah. They said on the broadcast, they had Ben Cherington up there. They're like, Miguel Cabrera, he wasn't allowed to play his normal position when he came up with the Marlins. And he's like, oh, didn't think about that. Kate, did you see Henry Davis? This is also a Henry Davis podcast, by the way.
We're Henry Davis fan page. Yeah, I did. I watched his post game presser too. He was like, "Oh, I've just always been like very confident." I think he said the word confident 4 times, which I just love, especially from like a prospect. He said, "I've always been really, really confident in my abilities." But he did great. Yeah, I think 1 hit, 2 hits. He definitely had a hit, but it was cool to see him come up. The catching thing is really making me question a lot of decisions, though. I don't know. Is that like he's not going to catch at all, or just for the time being?
I think they said that like he's only going to catch in like the backfields, and they really want him to focus on like learning the staff. And like they're like Jason DeLay and Hedges, I think is the other one. It's like those guys, they're both great defensively. I feel like DeLay's got a better bat. Yeah, I don't know. That just kind of stood out to me. I was just like, You're not going to let him catch it all? Like, all right. Yeah. I mean, the only way you're going to learn is by doing it, right? So, the Pirates, they have lost 7 in a row though. So, something's not working. I don't know. Are you worried about the Pirates, Brian?
Yeah, now I am, because the Reds are going off, and the Pirates, I don't think they were, had a ton of talent coming in. So I think they were just playing pretty well to start the season, and now maybe coming back down to earth a little bit, but you never know. They could turn it around again.
Yeah.
You're a Pirates guy.
I am a Pirates guy. I also get made fun of because everybody says I have 1,000 favorite teams. So, I'll wear that one. I don't care. Did you want to end Kate by talking a little bit about Shohei though? Because he's doing it again. It's having a Shohei year.
I think it's worth noting. I'll pose a question to you guys at the end though. On a tear, obviously leading league average OPS hitting, has the lowest opponent average in all of Major League Baseball as a pitcher. Just an enigma. Like I don't understand how he functions. We were having a whole debate though over the weekend, like how much do you actually even ask for when he gets either re-signed by the Angels or goes somewhere else? But I do want to ask you guys this. Do you think he can hit 50 home runs this year? Think that's way over the top, or you think, no, I think that's acceptable?
Ooh. What's his career high? 46 is his career high. 24?
I think
he's locked in.
I think he's going to get 50. And I think should we just have a different award specifically for him? Because it kind of feels unfair if we're just going to give him the AL MVP every year. Like there should be like a Shohei Ohtani award or something.
He's just a unicorn. He's just not even. Yeah, it's hard to compare him to anybody. I don't know. I don't know where the contract goes. Like I'm so interested to see how they value that out, because he literally is 2 players, and like what do you you give him $600 million? Like I don't understand. Like it's nuts. But I'll just never forget whatever he does, hitting and pitching, like it's insane. I'll just never forget when I'm playing against him in spring training. He hit a ball so like an absolute laser off the left center field wall, and I was in center, and I'm like yelling at our left fielder like 2-2-2, like he hit it so hard that you might have a chance to throw him out of second base. And when I like look back to see where he was already like a step from second base. Like he is fast as shit too. Like he is just a freak. He's just special. There's no like other way to put it. So yeah, it's nuts.
Was that when Pujols was still playing? Did you tell a story about getting on first base with Pujols or something too? Is that the same game?
Yeah. Yeah. Shout out Albert. That was great. He gave me my real claim to fame these days is that I'm 2 for 2 off Shohei Ohtani in a spring training game. So
Perfect.
My first at bat, I led off the game and he was pitching and Albert was playing first. And I mean, I hit it hard, ground ball, and it stayed like right over the bag. It was an easy triple with Albert playing first, put it that way. With somebody else playing first, it maybe could have been a nice diving play. I don't know, but it was triple in the books. And then my second at bat, I smoked a single line drive to right field, and I got to first base, and Albert was still in there, and I was like, "Holy shit, it's Albert Pujols," you know. And he was talking to me. He's like, "Man, nice swing." And I was like, "Holy shit, it's Albert Pujols."
Me?
Yeah.
You're talking to me.
Yeah, that was really cool because then it went back like one of my first spring trainings, like at all. I was like backing out the big league game, and we were playing at the Angels. So like I wasn't in big league camp. I just like went to, you know, in case someone got hurt or like, you know, how they put guys in late in those games. They were taking BP on the field, and this guy was just hitting like lasers. I'm like, man, it's pretty nice, good swings right there. And I got like closer to the turtle, and it was Albert Pujols was hitting. I was like, holy shit, it's Albert Pujols, because he was like, you know, one of my absolute favorites growing up. So that was always crazy, like seeing him like that. Still, yep,
So cool.
good old Pujols.
Any other starstruck moments? I feel like I've never asked you this.
Yeah.
Pujols was definitely one. I'm trying to think. Who else? Yadier Molina was one. Molina. What did I just call him? Molina. Did I call him Molina? Yadier Molina. Yeah, I got rung up. Like, it was one of my first games. He was catching, and I got rung up on a ball that was like 6 inches off the plate. And I was like, fuck. And then I'm like, oh, yeah, Yadi's catching. So, yeah, I'm out. That's like my third game. Who else is there? I mean, it was definitely like meeting like Manny for the first time was definitely pretty crazy. But right away, that went away quick because he was just awesome. And he was on my team, so it was not as bad. But who else have I ran into like that? There aren't too many. Like I don't think I've ever like met Trout. Trout would have been one that would have been pretty cool.
Yeah.
But I feel like a lot of those guys are like gone, you know, like guys I really grew up watching or liking that much. It was meeting Joey Votto was one too, because I mean, I was in college or high school or college when he was MVP, like, so that was a pretty cool one. But same thing, I was around him so much, it like went away fast. But I think Pujols was probably the number one for me.
Miggy? Did you ever meet Miggy?
Did I meet? If I did, it was real quick. He hit. I'll never forget when I played. The Rays had me playing third base in spring training, and he was the first one to hit a ground ball to me in a game, and I was like, "Shit, this is Miggy." And ground ball, and I fielded it perfect. I'm like, "Oh hell yeah!" Came up and threw it, and it went about 10 feet before it went into the ground. I just spiked it. It was like right in the ground, and Jose Martinez, thank God, picked it at first base for me, so I was pumped about that. But I don't know if I've actually met Miggy or if it was just that, and that's what I'm thinking of.
That's so cool.
He has your favorite at bat in big league history.
Mm-hmm.
That is true. And I saw somebody tweeted that the other day, like said like the favorite big league or major league at bat ever, and people were like, it was a thread of all the, you know, people saying their at bats or like putting video up of it, and someone put that up, and I was like, there it is, best one ever. It was off of Kate.
Mariano.
It was off of it was off of Mariano in Yankee Stadium.
Oh my gosh.
Tie it. It was an unbelievable bat. But Yeah, because it started with him like limping because he fouled like 4 balls off his shin.
Yeah.
And I was like, yes, great at bat.
You know who else said that was their
Legend.
favorite at bat? Greg Amsinger. I think you had left at that point or something, and then like
Did
it
you
was 20
really?
minute maybe after you hopped off the call. That I don't know. I guess it was last May or something.
Yeah.
But yeah. He's like, this reminds me of my favorite at bat ever, and he described what you were talking about. I was like, it's like, shut the hell up, Greg. No way.
Dude, it was it was an unbelievable at bat. It really was. And just like everything it was Mariano Rivera too. Like just the face off between the two of them. Like it was unbelievable. And it was to tie the game, in the 9th inning. Like it was just sick.
Okay. Amazing. I have one last question, but I'll defer to Kate in case she has any last questions.
I'm good. Go ahead. Okay. Fire away.
What is your favorite at bat that you've been in?
Mine. Oh, wow. That isn't. I've never even thought about that, honestly. I don't think.
Max Scherzer, where you looked at the first pitch.
In the major leagues, it would probably have to be either my first homer, just because, for obvious reasons, and that also I was pinch hit and tied the game in like the 7th or 8th inning, so it was a good one. Also, my first homer with the Padres was a pretty good one for me because I just got back and like was working on stuff in AAA, and I was like went off. But my first at bat, I struck out, I think with the bases loaded with 2 outs, and was looking at the iPad and saw exactly what I was doing and like made the adjustment that next at bat and hit the homer. So that was like fun.
That's cool.
I'm trying to think. God, I don't know. I've had plenty in the minor leagues, but
did you ever work somebody for like 15 pitches?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's the best.
I'm trying to think of like the ending. Oh, I know. I know, Jay, you're gonna know my favorite one was when the guy from Indianapolis threw at my head, and then I hit the next pitch over the trees in center field and threw my bat 15 feet in the air. That's probably my favorite one.
I'm gonna find that clip now. I love it so much.
That's a good clip. Yeah, Kate, I was playing in AAA. Indianapolis was like it's like an hour from Louisville. We played them all the time, and I owned them. I mean, owned them. And our pitchers, not on purpose, but they hit a lot of their guys like by accident. And that game, they put up like 6 runs in the first inning or something, and I was hitting 4th, so I let off the top of the 2nd, and the first pitch goes right at my head. I duck, but I don't drop the bat, so the ball hits my bat for a foul ball, and so like everybody in the clip is like, the count's 0-1, like there's a strike. What are you talking about? And so the next pitch, he throws a fastball down the middle, and I fucking hit the shit out of it, and I threw my bat like straight up in the air, and the announcer is like, someone's got to tell Gray he didn't hit like a 6-run homer or something like that. And then it turned into like this war of words on Twitter at the time. It was funny. So yeah, that's probably my favorite one of the minor leagues. I forgot about that.
That's fantastic. I need to see the clip.
JA's got it somewhere.
I think you might have told that story to was it TJ Antone?
Yeah, because TJ started that game. He got lit up. And that was the reason why I got thrown at. Thanks, TJ.
Yep. He's coming back, dude. He's coming back. This is the best. I don't think I've laughed this hard in so long. Also, I think I have a photographic memory for Brian O'Grady at bats now. So I don't know. We could just do another hour, just rattle them off. But
I remember a lot of at bats. If you ask me about a specific at bat, I'll definitely. It might take me a second, but it's in the memory bank. It'll come back. It's funny how that works.
MLB Film Room or whatever. It's like MLB's video search. You can literally look at every pitch you've ever like that's been thrown to you in the big leagues. It's just great for pulling clips for some of these other guys. But yeah, it is interesting. So yeah, we might just do a random Brian O'Grady pitch. Like you'll just foul one off, and that might just be the clip for the day.
Perfect.
I'm gonna start doing that, by the way.
What an exciting clip.
Oh, dude, this is the best. Look, if we'll figure out a schedule in the next appearance, but I don't think I've laughed this hard in a while. So thank you for making the grand return to the pod after all this time. So
Yes.
Thank you, dude.
Thanks,
Thank
Brian.
you guys. Thank you guys for having me back, Kate. It was nice meeting you.
So nice meeting you.
Always fun talking to you, buddy.